Hello, we are going to learn about wood rats today. They're also called pack rats. And they live in the forest and they make big nests out of sticks that they gather from the forest. And so I'd like to show you some pictures of some of these creatures. This one here, a drawing, but it does give you an idea. It has kind of a pointy nose. It's a rat, little round ears, and almost like a teardrop shape, like that. There, and an extremely long tail, and little feet with claws on it. Claws on their feet here. And then here's another picture. This one here, this isn't a drawing, it is. And you can see they have different coloring. So this one here is very light colored, and frequently they also are that. None of them are super dark though. Okay, and it's almost looks like a rat that you might have as like a pet, right? And then there's this one here peering up out of a tree. They don't usually do trees, but sometimes the males will have a nest in a tree. And that leads us to the next one here, is the nest. They make a nest out of twigs. Now this one is all piled up against a tree that would be here. That's a drawing, right? And here it is here, and here's the tree, and it's just kind of piled up against the tree. And then there's a little hole here, but there's lots of rooms inside, literally. There's like a room for sleeping, a room for having the babies. There's actually a pantry or a refrigerator room where they keep all the food that they get. And frequently they actually like to build under an oak tree. And I'm betting it's because there's acorns that come down and they store them inside along with berries and leaves and other things. And they actually have a bathroom too, an actual room where they go to the bathroom. So imagine that. Okay, so, and then here I want to quickly show you one in the forest like this, and you can see it's way back in here, a little hard to see, which they're fine with. They want to be camouflaged. They don't want to be in the open. And they pile sticks on a bush. There's a bush, and so the sticks are there. And then this one here I wanted to show you. I just saw this yesterday when I went for a walk. And this is all young poison oak coming up, and it's not up against anything. It's just a rounded dome filled with sticks, and has all those rooms inside, right? So what you're going to need today is a piece of paper. You're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need an eraser, a pencil, and a Sharpie if you have one. And we're going to be using crayons for our color. You absolutely don't have to. You could use colored pencils. I have watercolored pencils. You could use those too, or even just watercolors. But I'm going to be doing the crayons because most people have those at home. And it's pretty easy. So what I'm going to do, you're going to use this. I'm going to use my charcoal pencil so you can actually see this because it's hard to see the light colored pencil. So what I'm going to have you do is, we'll keep this bay here because I have a story about the bay. Okay, so we're actually going to do a very light line. This is only a guiding line across the middle, just right across the middle. It's a guiding line. This is going to disappear, okay? And so the next thing we're going to do is right in the middle is we're going to do kind of a squashed oval. Squashed oval. Do you see it's kind of a squashed oval, right? And then on the next part, we're going to do a large circle bigger than the squashed oval, like that, right? Bigger than that, right? That's going to be the haunches, the back part. And then it's got a little head. Hello, little head. You are a little head. There, and we want to keep in mind it's going to be like a raindrop or kind of like a drop looking like that. Okay. Next, we're going to put in their really long tail. Really long tail. That's a guiding line. We'll do two lines in a minute, but that's a guiding line. Remember, we're talking, these lines will disappear. They're just helper lines right now. And then the little feet. So this one here is a little foot right here. Oh, foot, right? There's a foot like that. So the foot kind of goes down and like that. and down and like that. Okay, and then we have little tiny feet here, little feet right here. So just going to be a little foot here. So it's kind of covered up, and you're not going to see the whole creature here and there. And so the next part we're going to do is it has here's the picture here. It has kind of a pointy nose. So do you see how it has a pointy nose like that? Right? So we're going to give it that pointy nose. So the pointy nose is kind of like it has a little cup, but it's not an absolute point. It's more like a rounded point. See, kind of a rounded point like that. So, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach all of this. And I want you to remember it's like a drop. Look, here's the shape. It goes woo, like straight, just like woo, and then a little bit of a curve here, like woo, and then here. Right, so we're going to be doing that. So watch this go woo, around here. Let's come around here and let's attach this here and get to our awesome feet. Right, gonna come over here and get to our awesome back foot over here. Come over here. Now there's a single line for the tail. We're going to make a double line, but it's going to be a large tail, so part of it's going to be like this. See, it comes from the it's a fat right here. So we're going to come here, chicka like this, give it a roundness here, come all the way around here like that. There we go, like that. Right. Okay. Now we have a foot here. We could, if you want to put another foot in here, you could do that. So we're going to give it some ears. So there'll be one ear here and another ear here and then an eye. Right? It's got a little pink nose, so we're not going to make too much black there. And it has little mouth and some whiskers. They actually have a lot of whiskers. We're only going to put a few on, okay? Just a few. Now, this is all I want us to do for our rat right now. Oh, I did want one more thing. So here's our story. Here's our story about bay leaves. Bay leaves, you can actually, if you hold them and you kind of press them a little bit, they smell really spicy. People even use them for spice in a soup or a stew. And but what the wood rats do is they collect bay leaves and they nibble on them a little bit and get them soft. And they put them in their nursery, in their places where they sleep, and sometimes by the entranceway. And what this does is it keeps the fleas do not want to come there. It discourages all kinds of, not just fleas, but some mites and other things that could bother the rats. How smart is that? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to give it a stick here. And these are long, pointy leaves. So pointy leaf, right? I may not do a whole lot, just a few is okay. Now comes the super fun part. We're going to be building the nest, but look how fun this is. Remember, it's a dome, so it's very light. Just don't press really hard here, just to show you it's a dome. And so here's how I'm doing stick, line, any directions you want. Line, any direction. This is the wild part that you get to do. Line. Oh, just cross them over. Every direction. You can go over the edges a little. You want to make it look like the dome, though. You want to keep that, but you should go over the edges. All different directions. This is the cool part of being an artist. And then sometimes you'll find they'll have little openings here. We'll leave an opening here. This will be their opening when we do that, because they have not just here, but they have openings throughout. These can be 10 feet tall. They're usually maybe 2 or 3 or 4 feet tall. And I need to tell you an awesome story about these nests while you're doing this. You're doing this, right? I have a friend who lives in the mountains, and I went to visit. Actually, I lived there too, but nonetheless, I was visiting with my friend. And she brought me to where there was a burned out redwood tree. And redwood trees, sometimes they can get burned out in a fire, but they're still very much alive. But there's a big hole in them like a cave. And inside there were all these sticks. And they were taller than me. And she told me, she said, this structure, this house has been here longer than any other house on the mountain. I said, really? So she said, well, I said, what? So how old does that make it? So she said, well, I moved here in 1940, which was a very long time ago. And she said the people who lived there before her told her in the 1920s that was the first time they saw this, and it was the first structure. So that means these are at least 100 years old. And that doesn't mean that the rat is 100 years old. It means many generations lived there, and they keep putting new sticks in, new sticks all the time. And it's like an apartment building. So here's the next thing we're going to do. Okay. We're going to take our Sharpie. Oh, you know what? I did something here. I want to go past this line. I don't like line. I keep my opening here. Go past my line here. There we go. So because it's not even. Okay. We're going to take our Sharpie, and we're going to ignore the helping lines, and we're only going to go on the outside. And so we're going to take the Sharpie, and you're going to go outline, 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 outline around the little nose. Don't worry about the stick. We're just going to keep on going. Come all the way over here. Get that foot. Claws, claws, claws. Little foot here, little claws. There, all the way over here. Now, we're actually going to include this part here with that foot. And here's his little claws here. Little feet. And then we're going to come back over here and get that really long tail. Very long tail. And I want you to remember that it's a little fatter when it comes right up over here. We're going to come way up over here. And there we go. We did that. Ears. Round little ears. Eyeball. Eyeball. And now we can put that little mouth in and put our bay in there. Look, there's our bay plant in there, and a couple of whiskers. Yay. Oh, the other foot. There we go. This is perfect. Yeah. So now what we're going, oh, that's right. I need to put my stick. You don't have to do each and every stick. Just do a bunch. So you saw I did a couple of lines for each. I'm going to just do a bunch. We are definitely doing a bunch, okay? We can leave some of this. I'm going to ask us to erase, but you don't have to erase this part, but I definitely want you to do quite a lot of this with the Sharpie, because that way it'll stand out, okay? It'll stand out there, and that way you'll see it. And because there's lights and darks. This is a texture, and the texture is just like woven sticks, and that's just what they do. They bring in big old sticks, and every year they make brand new, taller, and better ones, and more rooms, and they have more babies, and it's amazing how many creatures they can fit in there. Now, there, I'm going to call that part good. I want you to get your eraser, and I really want you to erase where the helping lines are on the rat, okay? That's important. Erase the helping lines on the rat. There we go. So that's important. So that's your job right now, because we want it to be clean when we add our awesome colors here. There we go. Yeah, and I may be a little bit up here, and I definitely don't need that horizon line that we want across there. We don't need that. Okay, so I'm going to leave some of that. Go back over here. Good. So this is a good time for you to go and get your crayons or whatever colors that you are going to use for the next step. Good job. Oh, good. So, do you have your colors now? Good, good, good. So, I want to show you how the colors are going to go here. I want you to pay attention that it's much darker at the top than the bottom. The bottom is kind of lighter down in here, and usually the underbelly is much lighter here. So we're going to be blending our colors, and we're going to work in layers. And the layers just simply mean that you're not doing one hard one. You're doing a bunch that are much lighter, okay? So you're doing bunches of layers. So I'm going to actually start with a pretty light one for the tummy, for the underbelly. And I'm going to find, what do I have here that's fairly light? Even a yellowy, kind of a yellowy I'm going to put under here. And you're just doing light colors. Bring it down in here a little bit. Very light, very light. You don't have to do a lot. And then I'm going to find another. I might even add a little bit of white I know you don't see the white, but it keeps the dark colors from being in there. It protects that area. Okay, and so I might find, here's a nice actual brown. So I'm going to put a little bit of brown in here and see how light that is, because I'm going to be doing layers. Lots and lots of layers. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put a little bit over here in its little tail, high tail. There we go. Get some in Linda's little face. There. There, and a little bit down in here. We're going to be blending this, so not to worry. There. Okay, and I might want another one. This is a light color, so I'm going to come back down in here and do this lighter color. See how they blend? Even crayons blend. People don't think crayons are authentic materials, but they're great. They're just fine. They have, great color, especially if you use them well, right? Use them well. Okay, and here's another one here. This one here, let's see what that looks like a good color. Let's add some more of that. A little bit darker, so it's up in here. Good. I want you to remember the nose is pink, so let's leave that nose, and part of the ear is kind of pinkish, right? But the eyes are black. But when you do put the black in there, it doesn't have to, it can be with a pencil. Leave a little white in. In fact, let me show you. I'm going to use mine. We're just going to leave a little white in that black area. Let's see if this will work. Oh, a little bit. Anyway, and that way you see the reflection of his eyeball. Okay, so we're doing a little bit more here, a little bit more here. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Oh, a little bit more. What other colors do we have here? Oh, here's another one here. Let's just see all the colors. Now, you may not have this many choices in your crayons. Don't worry. You're just doing layers. So you could do a light brown, maybe a medium brown, maybe even some yellow here. Look, here, this one here. Look, look. Oh my gosh, this is gold. Oh my goodness, gold. Okay, put a little, see, so I'm mixing all my colors. I'm mixing all my colors here to create one kind of a smooth look. Okay, there we go. There. Oh yeah, and it does have a lighter kind of a tail. Tail is huge. It's really long. Let's see what else. I might add a little bit more lightness in here. Here we go, a little more lightness. That's great. Look at that. We got that pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty well done. Pretty well done. And maybe one last one here for this one here, right up in here like this. We got it. Look at that. Look at that. And if I could find maybe a gray, I might want to put the gray at the tippy top here, because it does have a little of that. There we go. Like that. We got that. Look, 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 look. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now, here comes the kind of the fun part. This is kind of fun. We can actually do anything we want in here in the nest, right? So I just want you to remember the strokes that you're doing. Lines, lines, lines. Mix your colors. Oh, I'm going to mix another color in here because each stick is different. And they just gathered the sticks, although I think they really like a lot of the oak. And again, I think it's just my hypothesis that they like the oak because they have the acorns on them. And they store the acorns in their houses. And you can add lines where there aren't lines, as long as you're including those strokes going in different directions. Like you're making this just like a rat would be putting this together, right? Okay, and need different colors in here. Look at that, look at that. Yeah, so just keep doing that. So I do have one more story about a rat house. So my husband, Charlie, he collects old cars. He really likes old cars. And so he had a really, really, really old Cadillac, which is kind of a special big old car. And he went to go restore it, to look at it, and he opened up the hood, and inside the hood, he opened up the inside where the motor would be. Inside the hood was a huge rat nest. Huge rat nest. Well, what it had done, though, it wasn't cute. It had eaten the wiring inside the car, and I think in the old days, they put special kind of like material around the wires, and I think they might have been looking for that to line their nests, but in any event, it kind of ruined the electrics in the car. But, I mean, they can come in to people's cars. I've heard about that in rural areas and do that and cause a lot of damage. But mostly you're going to find them out in the trees. We are at a very good place now that if you actually have some chalk, I know I didn't mention that, but here we go. We're gonna, if you have some chalk, you could stop the video at this point too and get some chalk. I'm gonna ask you, if you do have sidewalk chalk, if you can find maybe a darker color, maybe some browns, or maybe even a little green that we'll put on the ground here. And when I'm taking a piece of tissue and I'm making kind of a finger out of it, and if you don't have the chalk, you can go over very, very lightly, not dark at all, with just the crayons, or I'd prefer the pencils even at this point. Chalk is good because it's light, and I really just want to show how beautiful your artwork is and less about the background. But I am going to do this. I'm going to put some other colors in here because it's going to be less greens than there'll be more dirt or underbrush here than actual plants, probably. And actually, you can put a little bit in here too. Look at that. Fill that right in if you have a kind of a brownie color there. And I have another one in here. So you see, and then the background, I might even want a little green because it's in the forest. It's not in an open area. So I'm rubbing, and doing this like this. Yeah, it's not in an open area. So you'll have a lot of greens around here. There. So look at that. So one last thing I want to say. Pack rat. Here's why. It will go and find, it could be anywhere. It might find something, maybe some coins that fell out of someone's pocket, and maybe a quarter fell out, and it'll come up and look at the quarter because, look, I forgot the color here. It will come up and look at the quarter, and it likes shiny things like crows do. And it might pick up the quarter. But then maybe it goes a couple of steps and it finds something shiny like some tin foil or something, and it'll drop the quarter. It looks like it's leaving the quarter or trading it and then picking up the tin foil. And so if they get in your house and they take like a fork and then they're walking away with your fork, they might decide, oh my gosh, that lighter looks really good. So they'll drop the fork and take the lighter or whatever. They can take they've been known to take tennis balls, just gonna say, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, look, we are so done. I mean, you add more color, please do, because this is a short video. But here it is. Here's our wood rat. Here's our wood rat house, and here's our awesome bay leaf. Good job.